everyone and welcome back to Car and Bike. I'm Bilal, sitting behind the wheel of the all-new Tata Harrier EV. Now this is the first time I'm driving the Harrier EV, which created a lot of buzz on the internet since its advent. Now in this video, we're doing something special because the peak Mumbai monsoon is upon us. But before starting out, I've charged this car to 100%. And throughout the course of this video, we will be talking about everything that you need to know about this new Tata Harrier EV, while also discussing the real-world range, which I'll tell you at the end of this video, so stick around. But before we go ahead, you know the drill. Like, share, subscribe to the Car and Bike YouTube channel if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon as well so that you can be notified every time we bring out a new and informative video such as this one. Like most modern Tata cars, this one is also available in different personas. You have three to choose from: Adventure, Fearless, and the one that we have here, the Range Topper Empowered. There are two battery pack options too. You have a 65 kWh with a rear wheel drive only. And then you have the bigger 75 kWh battery pack with a rear wheel drive, and one we are driving here, the all-wheel drive version, or what Tata likes to call the quad wheel drive. Luckily, Tata's official website in India lists out just 11 trims for the Harrier EV that you can buy, apart from 4 Stealth Edition trims based on the Range Topping Empowered trim. I say lucky because we know how many variants other Tata cars like the Nexon have on offer with different powertrain combination. Now between you and I, it's a lot. But on the upside, it also gives you a variant for every budget. Now the prices for the Harrier EV starts from 21.5 lakh for the base trim and goes up all the way to little over 30 lakh rupees at showroom. Now do you want a separate video telling you everything about the variants, the pricing, the variants-wise feature distribution on the Harrier EV? Let us know in the comment section below. Now let's talk about the driving aspect of the Harrier EV, and let me begin by saying that after having driven cars of all shapes and sizes, this one, it feels like a sweet spot. It's big, but it's not intimidating, especially in the city confines and especially during parking. Now you might wonder why I didn't realize this when I drove the Harrier diesel. But because in the diesel-powered Harrier, there's so much thing grabbing your attention. The vibrations, the noises. But over here in the Harrier EV, everything is so eerily calm. It's so silent. There's no vibrations at all. And the controls are so light and comfortable that you get used to it pretty quickly. Now, although everything is carried over from the standard Harrier, be it the controls, the ergonomics, or even the visibility, you sit quite tall, but not too tall. You feel like you're sitting in a proper SUV, which is something which is really good, especially when you compare to other cars, for example, the Creta, which feels like more of a car or a crossover rather than a proper SUV. Over here, you get a good commanding position. Now, I'll stop comparing this one with the standard diesel-powered Harrier, because for someone who's looking to buy an EV and might consider the Harrier EV, they should know that this is a big, comfortable EV, especially at this price point. Now, at around 25 to 35 lakh rupee bracket, the Harrier EV is a big car. It's a lot of car that you get for your money. And if you go even slightly higher, the premium EVs that you get at this price point, they feel small and they aren't as quick as this one. Now this quad wheel drive, it has 2 electric motors, one mounted on each axle, with a combined output of over 300 bhp, but the more interesting figure here is almost 500 Newton meter. Now this isn't exactly a light car. In fact, it is 300 kilograms heavier than the diesel-powered Harrier. Sorry for bringing up the diesel Harrier once again, but you need to know that this one, it tips the scale at almost 2.3 ton. But the acceleration is quite brisk for such a heavy SUV. It can clock 0 to 100 kmph in the boost mode in little over 6 seconds. And to give you a perspective, that's as fast as the new gen Golf GTI, the BMW 330i, or even the Skoda Octavia VRS 245. What else do you want from a family SUV, a family electric SUVs that can smoke some of those drivers' car in a straight line? And the Harrier EV is not just made for the straight line. This one is a proper Tata SUV. So while the road manners are well sorted, it's phenomenal when the roads start to disappear. In fact, over the rain-washed Mumbai roads with moon-sized potholes, the Harrier EV it felt invincible. The small irregularities were shot off without a shrug, and the large ones were taken a stride with some real professionalism. Well, actually, that didn't surprise me at all. But what did surprise me was how good this one is when we went off-roading. Getting off the main road into the unknown, the all-wheel drive keeps a good composure. Now, there are selectable modes here, which gives you different terrain choices that you should select depending on where you are. But honestly, I barely used it and the Harrier still managed to get me to the other side, feeling like a hero. You are the real hero here, Harrier. Now, before we talk about the next segment, a quick stat check. Now, we have driven close to 230 kilometers since morning, and the battery is down to little over 50%. Let's see how the rest of the day goes. But the next segment that I need to talk about is the quirks and features. And the first quirk or feature that I need to address is this IRVM. Now, this is taken directly from a Land Rover. Now, this is one of the many features which we first saw in a Land Rover, which are directly borrowed over here in the Harrier EV. This one, it's not just a simple IRVM. It has a projection of the rear view camera mounted on the rear shark fin antenna. The best thing is, at night, you have a really good HD projection on this, which feels brilliant and very sci-fi. But in the daytime, there's a lot of reflection that puts on the IRVM apart from the projection. So at times, it's really hard to see what's at the back. In fact, I felt like I need to see a doctor for my eye because I could barely see anything. The headlamps, the DRLs of the rear cars, they are reflected quite heavily because it also has a recording and it acts like a rear dash cam, which is a really good feature to have in India. So I'm not complaining over there. More importantly, if you are followed by a car which is a smaller car than the Harrier EV and it is very close to you, since the camera is mounted really high, you can barely see the car at the back. You can't see it from the IRVM, you can't see it in the projection. So that really creates a big blind spot. But apart from that, I'm not complaining. There are two more features which are really a Tata first, which includes a transparent bonnet and auto parking. Now, auto parking, it worked brilliantly. I actually love that feature. It gave me no problem whatsoever when I tried it a couple of times. The transparent bonnet, it looks good, although it could be a bit more high definition. Thirdly, there is this party piece which is called the summon mode. Now, summon mode is another thing that you can surprise your guest with because it is a feature which is not usually seen in Indian cars. The only complaint being that button, which is really hard to press and that really gives that car that not so smooth movement when there's no driver inside the car. But when it does really work properly at time, it's a feature which gives me giggles every single time. Now, if I were to nitpick, the only thing I would say is this is the most expensive Tata EV that you can buy in India right now before the Sierra EV or the Safari EV comes along. More importantly, it is one of the flagship offering. But everything you see here is taken directly from the less expensive models. Yeah, the entire dashboard layout, the elements, it's taken from the standard Harrier. But even the EV elements which were seen in the lower spec Tatas, for example, the driver's display, the digital driver's display, it's exactly from the Nexon EV. Now, I wish for a flagship EV, you could have gotten something newer, something novel. Now, this isn't exactly a born EV. Little changes both inside and out, be it the styling, the ergonomics, or few more elements here and there would have gone a long way to make this Tata Harrier EV feel special, more expensive. However, it also goes on to prove that Tata is doing exactly what German giants have been doing for quite some time now. Take it the BMW, Mercedes, or even Audi. They use similar elements throughout their lineup. So if you've seen one, you've seen them all. Tata is doing almost exactly the same. But what's your opinion about it? Do you want your more expensive flagship EV to stand out from its lower variant? Or are you fine with the economies of scale and the shared parts bin for your cars across the lineup? Let us know your opinion in the comment section below. And finally, it's time to talk about the real-world range test. And before I tell you about the tested range, let me give you some facts and figures. Now this one, it has a bigger battery pack with all-wheel drive with a claim range of 622 kilometers. If you get the rear-wheel drive only with a bigger battery pack, the claim range is slightly marginally better at 627 kilometers. If you get the smaller battery pack, which is 65 kilowatt hour, the claim range is little over 530 kilometers. Now, these are the figures that don't interest me, because all Tata cars, they come with a figure called as C75. The C75 is basically a figure that Tata says 75% of the owners who have actually bought the cars will be getting from their car in the real world condition. Now, as we know, Tata is the highest selling electric car maker here in India. So they know what they're talking about. And the C75 figure, that's what I'm interested in. And the Harrier EV, its C75 figure is ranging between 460 and 490 kilometers. Now, before I started this test, I charged it up to 100%, and the displayed DTE, that's distance to empty, was showing me around 380 kilometers. Now, that's not this car's fault. Let me clear that. It's us enthusiast car journos. They are to be blamed because we have driven this car quite enthusiastically. So that displayed range was very inaccurate. But once I started driving at 100% in the city condition like a normal owner would, within the city confines, it started to normalize. Now, more importantly, if you have owned a Tata EV or have driven a Tata EV, you would know that there's not one indicated DTE or the indicated range, because it depends on various other factors. For example, there are 3 region settings: level 1, level 2, level 3, and everyone has a different indicated range. It also changes whether you have the air conditioning on or off. There are 3 drive modes as well. So if you have an Eco, City or Sport, the indicated range, it changes. Now for this test, you need to know that we did it in the standard setting. Now the standard setting here we used is level 1 for the region, because as I said, it's standard. Every time you get in, the drive mode was set to City, neither Eco nor Sport. Secondly, the air conditioning was turned on throughout the test, and the fan speed was set to 2 to 3, and the temperature was set at 23 degrees Celsius. That's the setting we used throughout the test, and we have driven it throughout the entirety of this battery depletion. Let's see what the real world range is really like. Between you and I didn't go all the way down to 0% for this range test, and I had to stop it at 5%, and you'll agree with me for 3 reasons. Now, the first reason is, at 5%, the limp mode kicked in, which meant the top speed was limited to 60 kmph, and the AC performance, it dropped as well. Secondly, at 5%, all Tata cars have this annoying beep that kicks in, and it gets a bit irritating after a few kilometers. And thirdly, I was using a public charger for this range test, and I didn't want to push the car alone if the car stopped dead at 0%. But that 5% is properly calculated and extrapolated, so you don't have to worry about it. And finally, what you've been waiting for, the real world range of the Tata Harrier EV quad wheel drive, and it went, drum roll please, 460 kilometers in a full charge. Now that's around 60 kilometers more than what we got from the Curve EV 55 and even the Creta EV, which both of them they topped at 400 kilometers. And I haven't yet tested the Mahindra EVs, but the 460 kilometers in the real world range is not a bad figure. It went almost as close to the C75 figure, and if you drive it slightly more judicially in the real world range where you don't have to test it in the ideal condition, you can actually inch towards 500 figure. And that for me is a really good figure to have in your one car EV garage. So there you have it, the Tata Harrier EV. It's big, it's comfortable, it's very feature loaded, it's quick when you want it to be, and capable enough to make you feel like an explorer, even if the only thing that you're conquering is a metropolitan traffic. Now, as I said earlier, 460 kilometers of real world range is good enough for most of the owners. And what the Harrier EV has got going for itself is, despite all its quirks and features, this one, it feels familiar yet futuristic. And that's all from me in this video. I hope you liked it. And if you did, do hit that like button and share this video with someone who's looking to buy an electric SUV and they might be considering the Tata Harrier EV for it. And if you have any other questions regarding the Harrier EV which I didn't cover in this video, do write them down in the comment section below, and I promise we will address them all personally. So that's all from me in this video. This is Bilal signing off. Until next time.